This video is your business scaling survival guide. Hi everyone, this is me, Paulus. Welcome back. Today we're going to explain the challenges of rapid growth. So we all want our businesses to grow fast, right? Well, yes, but you have to remember that fast growth is also a major cause of failure in many companies. They grow faster than they can manage the growth, and it leads to all kinds of problems. So in this video, I want to walk you through how you can grow fast and keep your company strong, profitable, and on a track for success. Let's go ahead and get started. So I thought I'd start with my story of growth. I feel like growth is sometimes kind of like whack-a-mole. You do fix one thing and then it breaks another and then you're like, oh, I gotta do this. We have a really large client that grew us really, really fast. And those one client that gets really big is actually really easy to scale. Where it becomes difficult is when you start to serve a lot of different customers. But it's also risky to have one really large client, right? A few years ago, this really large client scaled down from about 180,000 a month down to like 20,000 a month. And it kind of threw us in a tailspin where we had to start bringing in more clients. And it's interesting because I always knew I needed to diversify my client base, but it's really easy to get comfortable when you have a really large client grow so fast. But anyways, we turned on a funnel with some ads and it exploded. We got tons and tons of leads every day. Book a call on all of our salespeople's calendars. And so we were able to get massive growth, a lot of new clients. And then quickly you realize when you start to get a lot more clients, it actually will break your systems. And then it shows all the glaring gaps you have behind the scenes. And at the end of the day, you don't want to keep bringing in leads if you can't retain them, if your churn is too high on the other side. So we literally would turn off ads and then we would regroup and then we did it again and then we turned off ads and regrouped again. And then we just got to where we were able to beef up our systems where it's like, okay, I feel like we can grow at a steady rate without having to do that. Because if you do it the right way, you hopefully won't have to go through the growing pains that I did. That's really why I'm so passionate to talk with entrepreneurs, is to really show you not what to do based on what I did wrong. And so I want to really document my journey and my pathway so I can help you avoid that. And so you can have a much more streamlined, seamless growth by being aware of what you need to do today and also what you need to be aware of tomorrow. And when you are growing in that growth phase of business, you have to start building processes and systems. And as you start to scale, creating more automations. Like in our company, we actually automated a lot of our employee onboarding where you click a button and it creates all the different logins and accounts and emails are related to that. Obviously, not 100% of employee onboarding should be automated, but when you start to do a lot of the same things over and over, it makes it really fun to be able to automate and you don't have to manually pay labor dollars to do that anymore. Okay, so this is, like I said, the business scaling survival guide. So I want to show how this can apply for you. So let's go ahead and dig in. So as you're scaling and growing, eventually you're going to start to exhaust the market. You're going to get colder and colder leads and you're going to have to do a pivot from only sales to customer retention. And this pivot is super important. It's not necessarily a pivot, but it's an expansion, right? You want to bring in sales, but you have to make sure you're retaining the customers you have. And there's several reasons for it. One reason is obviously if you're bringing in sales, you want to bleed the other way. But the big key piece is actually referrals. So people downplay that referrals is a great engine of growth. And it's probably a better engine of growth than anything out there. Alex Hormozi talked about this, where it actually is a multiplier, right? One person can tell two people, or those people can tell four. And so it's one of the few ways that you can actually grow your company in a fast way and the right way. Because if you think about bad reviews, I bet it's probably about 10x good reviews. People are always willing to go write bad reviews about a company, but a lot of times they don't take the time to write a good review. You always want to be on the good side of your brand image. And so the more that you can do to focus on customer retention in that growth phase, it'll help your company maintain what it has, but also be able to grow through referrals. So you also want to focus on how do you increase the spend per customer. So that is another way that you can grow revenue, right? Not just through sales, but also how much a customer is spending with you. So that's an important area, is to start maybe expanding how you can get more value from the customers you have. The last item on this kind of growing phase of business is really around time to value. How long does it take from the time the customer pays for your product? Are you able to deliver them value? Sometimes you might say that, well, to really get the end result that I promised them, it might take 12 months, it might take 2 years, it might take 6 months. So you have to figure out what is the customer journey and the onboarding process like, so you can deliver value as quickly as possible and to give them hope and higher anticipation that you are going to be able to deliver the result that you need to give them if it's farther in the future. Clients are okay with it taking longer if they know the process it takes to get there and they know what to expect in the different phases. And if you can give them some quick wins, find different ways to be able to give them that value really, really fast. So we actually did a process map of our customer onboarding process. That really helped us to be able to visually see what we were doing today. And then we're able to come up with opportunities that we could do to enhance that customer experience. It's really easy to map a process of what you want it to be and not where it is. So I challenge you to do two. First, do it the way it is so you're aware of the glaring gaps and where you need to improve, and then find opportunities and start to find the low-hanging fruit. Just improve that customer experience just a little bit, which is the least amount of effort. So find those first, and then you can start to dig into those heavier lifters that are going to take a little more time and maybe money to accomplish. So if you're in the pre-scale phase of business, this is kind of where you're ramping up your team and your systems, trying to be able to get to where you can scale faster. You really just need to focus on meeting the basic needs of your customers. When you start scaling faster, then you need to kind of pivot into customer delight. How can you exceed their expectations? And so just understand, sometimes in business we get overwhelmed because we think we have to do all of it at once. Just focus on meeting the basic needs first, and then you can focus on how can I go above and beyond. So some other tips for business scaling and really surviving it is to really learn to let go. You need to start creating a team that can do the work without you. Start creating managers and eventually leaders of leaders, where you have directors overseeing the managers. You want to start letting go and getting other people to start to do the work. This is a big problem that a lot of entrepreneurs have, is getting stuck in this area where they aren't willing to take the risk to let go and start to empower others to take over their baby, because we know this is your baby, right? So in the growth phase, you got to be aware of your cash flow as well. The more you can get to where your customers pay you to work with you, it might be like, that's unheard of, that's not possible. It is. I'm kind of a part of the marketing world, Russell Brunson's world of marketing, and really a big part of it is how can we get customers to pay to work with us. And it doesn't mean that you're forcing them to do it. You're giving them value in exchange for some money that you're getting up front. Alex Hormozi just dropped a really great book called The $100 Million Offer. And in it, he actually talks about how to create an irresistible offer that can get you that cash flow that you need day one. So just beware of cash flow. And I challenge you to think differently about the traditional way of running a business. There's better ways to do it where you can grow much more stress-free than some of the old traditional methods. So one of the requirements of growing is sometimes you have to pivot and shift and adapt often, and that can cause stress for your employees. So I just want you to be aware of that. There really isn't a perfect science to it necessarily on how to handle that. It's really more of an art. But sometimes, like the team right now, where we're like, can we just come up with like a 30-day or 60-day plan that the teams can rely on, right? So we're not going to change anything for 60 days. We're going to go test it, and then we're going to go and tweak. So that's kind of some ways that you can do it to where you're not pivoting and shifting so much that people don't even know what the new rule or policy or vision is of where they're headed. Okay, so before we go into my last growth hack of a way of scaling your business that you might not have thought of before, I would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel. It makes other entrepreneurs be able to see these videos, and hopefully I can help more and more of you out. The goal is to help all entrepreneurs create more sophisticated companies that can grow without them, so that entrepreneurs have the time and the energy to be true to who they are and be able to make a bigger impact in the world. So liking and subscribing to my video makes a big difference, and I would really appreciate it. Okay, so for this last growth hack, I want you to be willing to think differently about how you could potentially grow and scale your company. So I have been in the outsourcing space for about, over 15 years now. I've really just challenged the norm of the status quo of what's out there. And I always just approached what I do and how I help entrepreneurs by just asking, like, how do we solve the problems that we're all having? And how can we do it to where we're not all reinventing the wheel? Because when I talk to entrepreneurs, we're all saying the same thing. We are all experiencing the exact same problems. A lot of times entrepreneurs are like, I don't want to tell you this. And then they tell it to me and I'm like, yeah, I just heard that so many more times, because we think that our problems are unique and special, and they really, I hate to say it, but aren't. And that's actually kind of gives us peace sometimes too, because we can say, oh, I'm not the only one. But for me, I'm like, well, how do I solve those though, to where we don't all have to go through the same growing pains that I did? It took me a decade to learn how to grow a team. As I work with entrepreneurs and I see all the struggles that they have, I think I went through all of those. And sometimes I'm like, why don't they see it? And I realized that I went through them too. So if I can find a way to be able to show them a better way, like that would make me sleep at night, because I really felt called to really simplify business for entrepreneurs. And so over the years, I developed a model called team sourcing. And I built it not to say everybody has to outsource everything through our company, but I created different teams and pods with specialized skills. And we're even adding one more layer on it, where we're actually diagnosing like what stage of business people are in and saying, okay, based on that stage of business, what should they do and what should they focus on? And what's cool about that is it allows us to determine, okay, we can help them do process mappings, whether for the customer journey or employee journey, if they want to build a team. And we can start to have them identify, well, what would the center's team sourcing do and what would my company do? And what kind of business do I want to build? It really depends on the entrepreneur of how you would design working with outsourcing type model like our team sourcing versus growing your company. There's kind of a trend lately though to build really simple companies. A lot of people are white labeling products that are already out there, building a really bare bones business where they're not doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And so I find there's a trend to do less, but still be able to produce a result for companies. And so team sourcing is a great way to really autopilot a lot of the components of your company. I always talk about team sourcing as taking the 80% that's the same in every business and allowing companies to really focus on the 20% that is their core. And that is really how you can really scale fast, because you're not having to think about all the different areas. You're not having to figure out how to be an expert in marketing, how to build a tech team, how to, all of these different components as you scale. You can just really focus on your core and know that team sourcing, which is literally 8 departments now: marketing, sales, omni support, technology, accounting, light fulfillment, finance. And then we're now doing a lot of consulting where we're helping clients get unstuck. And really what I've done is I've created something called the impact equation, where there's 6 different phases of business. I've created an assessment where you can actually take this quiz and determine what phase you're in and what's required in that phase. And it's a free assessment. You can actually go to the impactequation.com and take it for free and kind of figure out where you're at. And that will help you to determine what you should be focusing on now. And really the goal is to help you scale and grow as seamless as possible. So if I had to give you the biggest growth hack and the best business plan, it would be this impact equation. It's free to take, and you can get kind of the PDF of the impact equation as well. So you can kind of print it out and have it on your wall, really have that as a roadmap to guide you in your business, no matter which direction you want to go. Again, this is for startups all the way up to people that are looking to exit their company, people that have scaled their company. I work with startups all the way to Fortune 500 clients. So what I found is that the playing field has really been leveled for businesses. We're not really that unique even as big companies. And so I've taken those patterns, I've put them together into this impact equation. So if you're interested in taking this free assessment, you can go to theimpactequation.com.